Hello, everyone. It's another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me once again. So I found out something here that is very, very interesting. As in my research and digging to find out what to talk about, I came across a very interesting article that basically states that there is a Jamaican in Jamaica that refuses to cater to blacks who come to visit her establishment. And the reason for that is because she says they feel like they're entitled to everything. I was like, oh. This is way in Jamaica, and this woman is feeling this way about black people that have come to visit her establishment. She no longer wants to serve them anymore. Let's get into this article and find out why. Interesting, right? So the article starts off with, this is rather particular. And let me say something, too, about this article. It sounds somewhat biased in the way they communicate this information. It just doesn't, it sounds like they're siding with all these people that say, oh, you just wrong, lady, for feeling this way. Woo, woo, woo. It sounds biased in the way they present it. It sounds opinionated. My thought is, my thinking is, if you are an established professional news source, you should just give the facts and not try to sway people to the left or the right. Excuse me, you shouldn't do that unless you go to the portion that's specifically a opinion piece. Okay, so let's get right into this, because this ought to be very, very, very interesting. And it starts off with, this is rather a peculiar story, as a black business owner in Jamaica states that she is not entertaining any more black American guests. She states that the black Americans that come to her cottage are entitled and would want free items. So the way this article is pushing this, it seems to be saying that this is something she's presuming, but I highly doubt that. She adds that she does not want black Americans any longer for short-term stays. So here we see that they've been coming there, and this is the persona that she has basically made of them, okay? This is an apparent disassociation among black Americans and Jamaicans. There is, rather, an apparent disassociation among black Americans and Jamaicans. I believe that is true to some extent. According to CBS, it appears that Jamaican-born people are identifying themselves as different people. They are one of the many black people who moved to the United States but are identifying as African-American despite claiming not to be so. I don't know what the heck that means. Some of them do not identify as African-American, but as Jamaican-born black individuals. And there could be a reason for that because of what I don't want to give away too much of my commentary, because I'm gonna get right into that, because I deal with Jamaicans here in America quite often with my line of work. So I have something to say about that. But anyway, regardless, there are several questions when it comes to the relations of African Americans and Jamaican-born black people in the United States. Redditors state that the cultural differences between the two is one of the reasons why they are quite distant from each other. Let's see here. It says, one of the first comments about this whole situation that the woke left will accuse her of being a hateful, bigoted person. She also describes those that visit her cottage that happen to be African-American as disrespectful, entitled, and unappreciative. Conservatives are defending her, stating that she has no problems with African people, nor people from other regions. That's pretty heavy. So let's read some of these tweets here. This is from OV. It says, it amazes me that so many people take what this woman says in a video on Twitter and just run with it and make blanket negative statements about another race. This lady has problems with white people, black people, or any race that ask her questions. She says it's stressful. And there's another one that says by Harold Bustamante, I guess that's how I pronounce this. Wherever you go to the world, drop your ego and walk in respect of locals. Show them respect. They will open doors of friendship. And he got a point there. I mean, regardless of what race or ethnicity you're from, if you're in America, whatever, you go to that particular region, they may have different beliefs. They may have different worldviews about different things. Respect what they do. Don't go to this place thinking that you should get what you were getting in America and think they're supposed to give it to you that way. No, don't think that. But anyway. This is from JC4 Bazin. It says, just drop your ego everywhere. No one is better than anyone due to financial status. Father Time is undefeated, so be nice and spread love. Okay. Here's one I wanted to speak on right here. I think, and this is just another one of these people that's been brainwashed, as far as I'm concerned. This is from 5 Haim, aka Dr. Durag. He says, white people in America have convinced the world that black people in America are entitled and ask for free stuff because we requested equity and the, quote, still unpaid debt of hundreds of years of enslavement. It's not even offensive looking at stuff like this. It's comical. So according to this brother here, he says white people in America have convinced the world that black people in America are entitled. First of all, white people in America have not convinced the world that black people in America are entitled. Where do you see, what evidence does this brother have, and what source is he coming from that claims that white people in America have convinced the world now, we're not talking about people in America, but the world, that black people in America are entitled? Where do you see that, and what evidence do you see of that? I'll tell you what I know from personal experience. I work around these kind of people, and they do believe that they are entitled where I work at, and most of them are black. They claim, they do this all the time. They disrespect security. When we tell them you can't stand on the benches are made for sitting on. You sit on benches. You don't stand on the benches. You don't sleep on the benches. You don't defecate on the benches. You don't urinate on the benches. You don't vomit on the benches. You don't have sex on the benches. You sit on the benches. But they do everything than what they're supposed to do. These young knuckleheads that happen to be black do everything what they're supposed to do. And when you ask them, sir, ma'am, don't do that on the bench. It's made to sit on the bench. Nigga, you can't tell me what to do. I'm just going to be open with you. You can't tell me what to do. They feel like they're entitled. They want the money, but they don't want to do what they need to do to get the money. Give me my money because I feel I'm entitled. This is what a lot of these blacks in America have been programmed to think. Okay, so this whole idea of this brother here talking about white people in America have convinced the world that black people in America are entitled and ask for free stuff is a bunch of nonsense. White people haven't convinced anybody. That's black people doing that. It's their own self-defeating actions that cause them to do that. Okay, now is all black people feeling that way? No, they're not. Anybody that's listened to my commentary or bother to listen to my commentary instead of just looking at the title and listen to 2 minutes of it would know where I'm coming from. Clearly, I'm not talking about all black people, but in my personal experiences and my studies and the things that I've studied from people like Thomas Sowell, who have studied all the facts and traveled all over the world. Okay, in my own personal experiences, this is what this segment of black people actually believe, that they're entitled to things, that they don't need to work to get anything. Hey, my ancestors, whom they don't even know, no way, because none of them has the brain power or the ability or want or the get up and go to try to research and find out my ancestors were slaves. So you guys in America owe me money. Okay, so they have this they've been brainwashed with this mentality, and as a result, they go around thinking that everything should be given to them on a silver platter. And if they don't get it, what they do at my job, they strip the plants out of there's in the front area of Tower City, there's what's called the front portico, and outside the front, these flower beds have been placed on both the left and the right. And when they get angry, they just tear the flower bed, they just tear the flowers out, break windows. I don't know how many times windows at Tower City have been broken. And just the other day, my supervisor was telling me some fool threw a rock through one of the windows of the second floor of Jazz Casino, which is connected to Tower City. That could have hurt somebody or even killed somebody because they're angry with the world. Their life didn't work out, so they want to launch out in anger at everyone else. This is what bothers me about this segment of black people. I didn't say all black people. This segment of black people feel that somebody owes them. And this is probably the same kind of segment of black people that's coming to this country. Now, according to one tweet, and I didn't read it, she's like, well, how can these people be asking for free stuff, this, that, and the other, when you got money to pay to go to Jamaica? Okay. But who's to say that these black people that are coming to Jamaica to come to her resort actually paid for it? Who's to say that they paid for it? Somebody probably paid them. Somebody probably gave them money because, hey, they're entitled to it. I'm entitled to that money. Who know? I mean, who is to say that wasn't money that they got from some check the government gave them? So many different variables about this, but I'm pretty sure black people who have good jobs and careers and good jobs and have money are not coming in there asking for things for free. If she's feeling this way, this is probably from a certain segment of black people that come to her establishment that probably had their way paid for them and think that everybody owes them. That's probably what that's from. What this brother here is saying here, you don't know what he's talking about. He says, ask for free because we, and I'm going to read the rest of his tweet. We requested equity and the still, first of all, we didn't request nothing. You did. I didn't request nothing. All I request is opportunity. And I have plenty of opportunities to be anything I want to be. Requested equity in the still unpaid debt of hundreds of years of enslavement. It's not even offensive. Man, come on. And there's another one that says, this is Nikki the God. A Jamaican woman says that she will no longer be offering short-term stays at her business because black Americans give her too many problems. She claims black Americans are entitled and go to Jamaica expecting to get things for free. Things for free. Let me see. What is that all she said? Is this the same lady? No. This is not the same lady. She didn't say, I mean, I don't know what her point was at. And it says, here, let me read you this. It says, there are some black rights activists that are vehemently upset at this woman's claims toward African Americans. Of course, they're going to be upset, because they think that way. Following that, the user states that it is the blatant white supremacy from the past until today that is making them look bad. No, it's not. However, there are many who disagree with this sentiment. It is a sentiment topic for the most part, despite of it being widely discussed among those on the internet. First of all, it's not, see, this is what the left does all the time. And that's in that article there. It's incredible. It's what the left does all the time. Every time black people, and I don't use the term African American. I stopped using the term, and if I ever use it in my videos, it's a slip of the tongue. Okay, because I hear so many people using it, it may be a slip of the tongue. But this certain segment of black people, okay, every time they do something that they shouldn't do, whether they break the law, whether they're disrespectful, whether they feel they should be entitled handouts, every time they do something that they know shouldn't be done, okay, these activist groups jump on it and say, hey, it's white supremacy. Just blame everything on white supremacy. Never take personal responsibility for what you do. Anything you do, whether it's good or bad, but especially bad, if you do something bad, if you break the law, if you're disrespectful, if you're hateful, okay, or whatever it is, if you're violent, it's not your fault. It's all white supremacy. That's how the radical left, that's their answer. And as far as I'm concerned, you have to be dumb as a box of rocks, as one person told me. You have to be dumb as a box of rocks to believe that. Whatever happened to taking personal responsibility for your own actions? Myself and an older man yesterday, I'm posted in my job. I'm standing up in front. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, there was a guy standing on the bench outside, standing on it. Some young knucklehead standing on it. And I asked him, I said, man, get off the bench. You know, he had already cussed out one of my other fellow co-workers. My other fellow co-worker grabbed his radio and was about to call the police out there to get this knucklehead off the bench for standing on it. So I happened to come off my tour and I ride over and I ask him, I say, man, you can't stand on the thing. He gets off. But anyway, make a long story short, I don't want to go into all the details about that knucklehead. But there's an older man in his 70s. And he happens to be listening in on me and my partner talking about this disrespect from this one guy in the group that he was with. Okay. And he happened to be listening in and he comes in his 70s, older black dude. 70s, we get into this very, very in-depth conversation about the attitude about a lot of people from this particular segment of the black community that thinks that everything should be handed to them on a silver platter. He said, I started off, I'm gonna paraphrase what he said. He says, I started off just like these guys here. He said, I started off just like them, out in the streets doing nothing, whatever. He said, doing nothing. He says, but I decided I didn't want to be like this anymore. I decided to change my life. And he said he went to a Catholic diocese. They helped him, and now he has his CDLs and all kinds of different things he was telling me he has. Older man in his 70s, older black man in his male in his 70s, basically saying in so many ways that if you want something in life, you got to go get it. But black people, this certain segment of black people in this country have been conditioned by the radical left and by by a concept known as multiculturalism, that says basically that wearing your pants sagging and being disrespectful and not being learned and not knowing the English language and all that is Eurocentric, and if you don't want to be a part of that, then you can. In other words, what they're saying, what the multiculturalists are saying, and I'm going kind of fast here, what the multiculturalists are saying in our school systems is that, hey, every culture is equal, every culture is okay, and that this attitude from black people is a part of their culture. Sagging pants and adherence to a avoiding of education, avoiding of working is all a part of black culture. So to criticize that negative aspect of black culture, you're criticizing black people in general. That is a bunch of BS. The older man in his 70s told me, he says, all of this stuff is self-inflicted. And I was so happy to hear another black male say exactly what I say in my videos and exactly what tons of black people all over this country on YouTube particularly say about this kind of attitude and about this kind of mentality from this segment of black people. When are they going to wake up and start having this attitude? And this Jamaican woman in Jamaica, I mean, it could be all that doesn't want to serve black people in her business. I mean, you can look at that in different ways. I mean, it could be something she read, or it could be her perceptions. But let me say this. This is what I wanted to say. Yeah, I almost went past it. I work with Jamaican people quite often on my job. Been working with them for years. That come here to this country. They still have a strong Jamaican accent. One particular guy, he's a cleaner guy. It's no offense to Jamaicans, but his accent is so strong, I barely can understand anything he be saying. He be saying, speaking a Jamaican accent, and I'd be like, yeah, you're right. A lot of times I don't be knowing what the man is saying. I don't want to offend him, so I'm like, yeah, you're right. I heard that part, but I didn't hear it. But anyway, if just about every Jamaican person that I work with, they all had, whether they're from Jamaica or Nigeria, they've all had the same attitude towards black people in America. This particular segment of black people, and it is black people in America don't want none. They have all these privileges and benefits, but they do not do what they need to do to get it. He says, we come here to these, and these are Jamaicans sharing this with me. We come here and we take advantage of this, and these black people are born and raised here, and they mess up everything. They don't take advantage of anything that's out there for them. And so a lot of these Jamaicans and even Nigerians have this, that come here to this country, have a bad attitude towards black Americans, because black Americans, or this segment of black Americans, don't take advantage of the privileges and benefits that these Jamaicans and Nigerians and other people come and take advantage of themselves. And their attitude is like, we don't respect you. You guys are lazy. You always think something to be handed to you. You don't ever want to work for anything. And that's their perception. So this whole idea, as the article was talking about, this kind of differences in culturalism, cultural differences between the two. It's not just a cultural difference. It's a mind difference. It's a perception difference. Okay. Because it is a matter of what we believe, because that's a lot that's connected to culture, what we believe, what we worship, what we eat, how we dress. A lot of it is what blacks in America, or this segment of blacks in America, have been conditioned to think. When they act like a fool, they don't want nobody to criticize them acting like a fool, because that's part of being black. But that is not what black people are here in America. That is not how we are. That's the perception that's being pushed on these TV shows and all the rest. That all we like to do is smoke pot or weed or reefer, whatever else the new name they've given it. That's all we like to do. We like to walk around with our pants hanging down. We like to listen to a bunch of hip hop music with cussing in it. Shake your booty, F this, you be that. That's all we like to do. And I always try to consciously separate myself from that nonsense, because I never was before, and now and ever will be interested in that segment of society, of black society. It's negative, it's destructive, and it is not benefiting anyone in the black community. So people can hate on this Jamaican woman all day. But if what she's saying is true, I understand what she's saying. And she has a right to say, I don't want to, you can call her bigoted all day. That's not bigoted. She's not being bigoted, in my opinion. She's just saying this group of people here are negative. They think they should be handed everything instead of, okay, I don't want to serve them. But what if you have some people come in that want to pay? I'm pretty sure she'll take them. Just saying. Just saying. What I'm talking about, I know is true because I deal with it all the time. And I don't want to make a generalization. This video going over again. There's so much stuff. I don't make too much of a generalization of this, but the point is simply is this, is that I observe this and I deal with this so much where I work. And it is usually always this segment of black people in the lower income areas in the inner city. So let me sum it up. I'm not talking about all black people. So I don't want to see no comments in the comment box saying you talking about all black people. If people take the time to listen to my commentary, even though it's pretty long, please take the time to listen to all of it. I'm not saying this about all black people. I'm talking about this certain segment within the black community, usually in the inner city, in the ghettos, if you want to call it that. That's the mindset they have because they've been conditioned to have that mindset. They don't want to change. They believe that everything should be handed to them and that you shouldn't say anything to them about their bad behavior. That route is going to lead to one or two things, jail or the grave, period, bottom line. You want to be dumb all your life, be dumb all your life. But if you're going to be around me or be around any sensible person, it ain't going to happen. I'm not going to associate with that because all you're doing, you don't want to change. You're not trying to change your life. You're not trying to better yourself. And that is a poison pill that I think a lot of these multiculturalists who are usually white is telling these black people. I believe that, I'm going to sum this video up in this. These multiculturalists in our school systems, in our universities, I believe, in my opinion, are truly racist on another level. Because anyone with any sense cannot say that this segment of black people and the way they act and their bad attitudes and the way they act and against law enforcement and so forth is just a part of the black culture, and you shouldn't criticize it because it's a part of their culture. Every culture is the same. That to me is the most highest form of racism that one could create. Because you're taking what is purely negative and you saying don't criticize that because it's a part of their culture. That is a bunch of BS that needs to be corrected and needs to be exposed. But that's what I had to say about that, people. I could go on and on and on about this, but I can't. It's too long. But that's my word on it. What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all and see you again.